What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Got to give you my segment, What's Next? Keith Thurman. Talk about Keith Thurman in this video. And after his performance against Julio Diaz, he did what he had to do. Some people could complain and say, oh, Julio Diaz wasn't that hurt and he quit or whatever. Bottom line, Keith Thurman, he won via stoppage, corner stoppage. Julio Diaz claims he's not able to go on, and we can't really judge what pain he was in and what he felt. And I told you going in, it would have been Julio Diaz was in over his head, and it would have been a tough fight and a major upset to me if Julio Diaz was able to beat Keith Thurman. And it looked like he just kind of took the Roberto Duran, like, no mas approach. I don't know. There's nothing that's been reported that I've seen that substantiates that his ribs are actually broken. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Maybe it was bruised. He had trouble breathing, and he bowed out. And I think the pressure was getting to him. He felt the speed, because Keith Thurman, not necessarily known as a Pacquiao speedster type, but his speed looked really good. His punches looked crisp until he noticed he had Julio Diaz hurt. That's when I think he got a little bit wild and was kind of swinging for the fences, trying to stay true to that one-time name. But anyway, I think Julio Diaz, once he started to feel that power and the speed, and he realized he was a bit in over his head, and I don't know, he's a shop-worn type veteran, and I feel he just didn't want anymore. He didn't really want to continue, didn't want to get embarrassed out there, possibly knocked out, which I think Keith Thurman would have done. Either knocked him out cold or stopped him. So props to Keith Thurman for that. What do I want to see from Keith Thurman in the future? Really more of the same, just at a higher level of competition. I mean, to me, it's clear the shop-worn guys, the Jesus Soto Carrasas, the guys with some losses on their records, you know what I mean, the C-plus fighters, they can't hang with Keith Thurman. That's apparent, you know what I mean? If you're a little bit past your prime or you've lost your step-up world title fights like Azibic lost to Berto, even though it was a close fight. Those guys, they're not in the same league as Keith Thurman. Now I want to see Keith Thurman step up against somebody who's looked good in their last 4 fights. Someone who's undefeated. Somebody who's, like I said, just looking good and maybe young, strong, and that could pose different challenges. Because so far I've enjoyed the journey that I've seen with Keith Thurman. He's hungry. One thing I really like, he's young. It doesn't look like he's backing down from any challenge. He wants to fight the best available options. I don't know that his handlers, Golden Boy, are eager to put him in there with some of the guys because they haven't done it so far. He's still building his brand, but from the onset, he's claimed that he wants the Mayweather fight. He wanted Paulie Malignaggi when he had the belt. He even showed up at the post-fight Paulie Malignaggi press conference asking for the fight. And he's like, "You ducking me, son?" He was signed to fight Marcos Maidana. Marcos Maidana pulled out of the fight. Some of y'all, like Roy Jones Jr. said, y'all must have forgot. Y'all don't remember these things. Either you're not avid boxing fans, but I got the memory of an elephant. I don't really forget shit. And that fight was actually supposed to happen like plenty of fights ago. And Marcos Maidana and his team backed out of the fight. He also wanted to fight with Robert Guerrero. And Guerrero had no interest in that fight. And this is just speculation, but Guerrero's fighting a Japanese, I believe a Japanese no-name fight in his next fight in June or July. This is all speculation. It's not official. But if you go on BoxRec, you'll see that. So it's clear a lot of people don't want Keith Thurman. They don't want that action. And I really want to see what this kid is built of, like made of. I've been impressed. When I first started seeing Keith Thurman, I've always been a fan of Keith Thurman. I like his style. I like his intensity. He punches with authority. He's confident in his skills. He says that, like I've seen when he was on HBO even, they were doing the fighter meeting, and he was confident even back then, and he still is, and his confidence is growing. So I just want to see him continue, but against better competition. Keith Thurman is one of the fighters that I think he hasn't necessarily been given the looks that he deserves. He's been underappreciated, and he's not, people aren't fighting him for different reasons. He's not getting those big fights for different reasons. Like some people claim Triple G, another fighter I really like, and I think Triple G has the capability and the power and the skill to clean out the middleweight division. However, I think Keith Thurman is more avoided than Triple G. There's other people, I've seen people openly get at Triple G and say, I want the Triple G fight. he's overrated. Guys like Felix Sturm, whether you think he can beat Triple G or not, he's openly wanted that fight. I don't really recall many people saying, Keith Thurman, I want you, I'm going to take your head off. I think Luis Collazo claimed he wanted to fight, but then he signed on to fight Amir Khan, went with the bigger money fight. And again, I already named a bunch of fighters that pulled out of fights or duck fights with Keith Thurman, etc. So I just want Keith Thurman to keep being Keith Thurman. I want to see him fight the likes of a Kell Brook, someone who's young, strong, we know can crack, and is undefeated, but hasn't faced great competition. I think Keith Thurman has a better resume than Kell Brook. Sean Porter is the fight I really want to see. I think that's an awesome eliminator fight for Keith Thurman. And the winner of Keith Thurman versus Sean Porter needs to get the mega fight with Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao. And I would be happy with either one of those. And I honestly think both of those guys, a lot of people are still caught up on this Pacquiao-Mayweather fight. Of course, I would want to see it just to put everything to bed, put everything to rest of who would win, who's the best of this era or generation or whatever you want to call it. But to me, in terms of pulling Mayweather into the depths of hell and making it more of a tougher fight, I think Keith Thurman or Sean Porter stylistically could pose more problems for Floyd Mayweather than Manny Pacquiao at this particular juncture. And that's my honest opinion. I think Pacquiao, he has speed, but he has speed and he has power and he has veteran experience. However, he doesn't look like the same Pacquiao that ran through Barrera. He doesn't look like the same Pacquiao that ran through Eric Morales in the second and third fight. He looks like he's lost a step. Whereas Keith Thurman and Sean Porter, both these guys are young. They've proven they're strong. It looks like their chin is pretty good given the competition. And I think to beat Mayweather, you got to do a lot of things right on that given night. You're going to have a jab. You're going to have a volume of punches. But you can't just be coming straight at Mayweather. You have to think in there. You have to let your hands go. You have to have power. You have to have a chin yourself. You have to be defensive minded and ready to get countered, because you might get countered all night and you have to risk possibly getting knocked out or embarrassed to go for the gusto. So there's a lot of things you have to do in order to crack the Da Vinci Code or the Mayweather Code. You're going to have to cut off the ring on him, which is very hard because Floyd is very fluid with his movement. But anyway, I think Keith Thurman and Sean Porter, guys like that, who are young, black, not saying it because they're black, but based on their styles, I think that poses more problems for Floyd Mayweather's style than Pacquiao at this particular point. I think a lot of people, they hang their argument on Pacquiao Mayweather based on Pacquiao's past accomplishments. And that's fine. You know what I mean? It happens in boxing. But you got to know when fighters don't look like the same exact fighter. A guy like Shane Mosley should have never lost to Anthony Mundane, ever. But he was at a point in his career where it just wasn't happening, and he lost the fight. And I'm not saying Pacquiao's that far gone, because I don't think Pacquiao is washed up like Mosley was when he fought Mundane. However, that fight has lost some of his luster to me, point blank. So as far as Keith Thurman, I really want to see him against Sean Porter in an eliminator for a mega fight with Pacquiao or Mayweather, the winner of that. And I just want him to keep being himself. One thing I really like about him is he's candid and open about wanting a Mayweather fight, but he's not dick riding. You know what I'm saying? Like he's content waiting in the back of the line, and he's going to keep knocking down the door until he gets his respect. Some people, they have one win and then they start calling out Mayweather. And you know what I mean? Like Anthony Mundane, he was like, oh, I want a Mayweather fight. Like, fuck no. You're not going to get no fucking Mayweather fight. Maybe Jeff Mayweather or something, but you're not going to get no fucking Floyd Mayweather fight. What have you done? What has Anthony Mundane done? And then they put him in against Clottey, who disappeared from the sport after the Pacquiao at the big Texas stadium and shit. And Pacquiao did his thing against Clottey, and he just remained defensive the whole time, and it didn't even look like he won the fight. And he disappeared for like fucking years. He did the Machiavelli, and Clottey was too much for Anthony Mundane, knocked him down like 4 or 5 times and stopped him. Like, come on, you don't deserve no fucking Mayweather fight. And I think a lot of people like that Mayweather idea, the paycheck, because win or lose, it's still bread, it's still a healthy bank account. And I like that Keith Thurman, he's adamant about wanting to fight the best. He wants to fight Mayweather, but he's also willing to work and prove in the interim, while he's waiting for that big opportunity, he's still working at it. Versus guys like Amir Khan wants the Mayweather fight, and he put his whole fucking career on hold and pushed the Devin Alexander fight out the window, waiting for this Mayweather payday, and then it didn't come. Now you already had a long layoff. Now you're going in against a tough guy like Luis Collazo, and you got to hope you beat him to get back into the Mayweather sweepstakes and hope you get a Mayweather. But if you have a struggle, straight up, if Amir Khan doesn't blow Luis Collazo out of the water, I don't see how they're going to make the Mayweather fight. There's too many guys that are looking good. Sean Porter, Keith Thurman, they're looking impressive, and they both have belts. Obviously, Sean Porter has a more meaningful belt, but they both have belts. So Amir Khan's best hope, if he wants to get in the Mayweather sweepstakes again, unless it's some like money bullshit and they do it like, oh, they'll fight in the UK and they're just all about money, Amir Khan has to look very impressive. If he struggles like he did with Julio Diaz but still wins, I don't think that's enough for the fans to embrace an Amir Khan versus Mayweather fight. So he has to look exceptional at 147 against Luis Collazo, in my opinion, because there's too many other guys at welterweight like Sean Porter, like Keith Thurman, even Kell Brook, Kell Brook hasn't fought nobody, but he's at least stopped Sinchenko and avenged his Carson Jones loss, etc. So I'm just really excited. The division's stacked. Keith Thurman, he also showed a lot of heart and said he would entertain a fight with Canelo at 54. So I don't know how long and Canelo plans to be there, and Canelo has his own tough fight against Lara. So I don't know if that would ever happen because Canelo looks like he's getting pushed out of 54 and might have to move up and has trouble making weight. So we never know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I just like Keith Thurman's attitude, and I look for more from him in the future. Let me know what you guys think of Keith Thurman. Does he beat Mayweather? Does he beat Pacquiao? Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. What's next for him? Can he beat Sean Porter? As always, hate, comment, or subscribe. Till next videos, Ego signing off.